All right. So, so if you're watching this on the replay, first of all, you missed my song. Actually, I think everybody missed my song because my microphone somehow was not turned on. So I am going to hang out just for a second while everybody gets back into the session. Hopefully, people don't just give up on me because I sang an entire song and apparently nobody could hear me. So I don't know if you guys have noticed. Let's see. Yeah, this is a new stream, Polly. Thank you for being here, my friend. So this is a new stream. I should have named it something separate, but hey, Weird Entities here, Guy, Vinceramos. Okay, you can hear me. You can hear me. Oh my God. Oh, well, I better make it so that you don't regret hearing me. Thanks for coming back. And we probably lost a few people, but that's okay. We are having a good time here on Friday. And I just want to share some stuff with you guys. I don't know if you guys noticed. So first of all, I sang an entire badass song, and then I guess nobody could hear. Nobody heard my angelic voice singing. I had some comments saying that they could hear my song. They're like, "That's such a great song." Maybe it was just people being really nice, and they're like, "This poor guy has no idea that no one can hear him." It probably looked kind of funny. Yeah. Maybe I should sing the song again. I enjoy singing the song. But everybody can hear me now. So sounds good. Now you notice, look at this, a new guitar. That is true. It is not actually a new guitar. Actually, this is my old guitar from when I was in rock bands all throughout my teens and my early 20s. And we're going to run it back. Okay, we'll run it back. Here we go. And I want you to sing along if you know it. Here's the thing. Apparently, I love this song. So here we go. Are we ready? It seems, yeah, I was very joyful while singing. It had to be really kind of weird to see me having such a great time, so blissful in my moment of singing, and then no one could hear anything. All right, so here we go. We're going to sing a song, and then if you guys have questions about the language of breath, that's my my new breathing course and my Breathworker training school. So I'm coming out with a Breathworker training school. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. If you've got any breathwork or anything you want to talk about today, we've got a whole hour that I'm going to hang out with you guys. But yeah, feel free to put it in there. But here we go. And sing along if you know it. I seem to recognize your face. Now you can hear me. Memories like fingerprints are slowly erasing, and I find the candle of thought to light your name. Lifetimes catching up with me. Does anybody know this song, or is it just me? All these changes taking place. I wish I'd seen the place that no one's ever taken me. Hearts and thoughts, they fade away. Hearts and thoughts, they fade away. I swear looks like some people recognize this song. All right, here we go. Verse 2. I swear I recognize your breath. Memories like fingerprints are slowly erasing. You wouldn't recall, but I'm not bipolar. It's hard when you're stuck up on the shelf. I've changed, I'm not changing at all. Small town predicts my fate. Perhaps that's what one wants to see. I just wanna scream. Hello. Oh my God, it's been so long. Never dreamed you'd return, but now here you are. Here I am. Hearts and thoughts they fade away. 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 Okay, now you got the song. Happy Friday, guys. You know, one of the things that I just did a complete retreat last week, and hang on a second, I'm gonna put this here. I did a retreat last weekend, and one of the things that we were trying to say, hey, thanks so much, guys. Thank you for those nice comments. Mike Ness, interesting. Social distortion. I'll have to check that out. Anyway, one of the things that we were talking about last weekend, I did a retreat with James Stewart, the Jesse James experience. We did a retreat and we did Wim Hof method. We did a lot of different styles of breath work. It was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And for my Celsius people, that is insanely low. That's well below 0 Celsius. It's almost, I would say, like, I really have no idea off the top of my head, but that's cold. And so we did cold dips we cut a hole in a lake. We did walking around in the snow, negative 16.7. Thank you, Yoga Bear. I mean, that's not a balmy day. I mean, it was definitely cold. It was the kind of cold where as a facilitator of this kind of a thing, we definitely wanted to make sure everybody had a really good time and a safe time. So we made sure there were a lot of safety precautions in place. But we really, I mean, the group, we had a fantastic group, and they really brought the energy. And really, there's something about going on in a retreat setting where you can really go hardcore. But it was one of the things that a question that I asked everybody is that, you know, when did you stop singing? Right? When did you stop singing? When did you stop dancing? When did you stop telling stories? Right? These are the things that make us human. And the thing is, hey, Unit7, nice to have you, brother. Or sister, I'm not sure. It's good to have you here, my friend, nonetheless. But when did you stop singing? When did you stop dancing? When did you stop telling stories? And not just stories of like things like you heard on the news or a podcast, you know, you're repeating something you saw on Twitter. When did you stop telling stories that really mattered? You know, really life type stories, you know? And so, and not everybody has stopped these things, you know? And if you haven't stopped, you know, why do you sing? What makes you feel that urge? What is it, the thing that makes you want to get out there and, you know, sing despite the fact that you might hit a wrong note, you know? What makes you want to sing? What makes you want to dance? And as a white guy in the Midwest of the United States, I can tell you, I stopped dancing very early in life. And I don't know if my friends here in the audience, if you can relate to this. Hey, Enzo, nice to have you here. Paulie, I sing and dance more often now than ever. You are awesome, my friend. Hell yeah. And that's the thing. I'm singing and dancing more now than ever, whenever, especially I'm starting to notice especially more singing. And I don't know if you guys noticed, we got an electric guitar now. This is my electric guitar from whenever I was in my high school years, my early 20s, whenever I was in undergrad. I was in bands constantly. We played gigs all the time. And I have been getting the urge to make music and to write music again. And it is this amazing thing where it's like, I think it's in everybody. Everyone has something to sing, something to tell, some kind of expression to give. And oftentimes we suppress. We're like, no, I'm not going to let this out, because I think, we're worried about judgments. We're worried about, is it the right thing, or does it fit into whatever, whatever mold that's out there. Yes, Papa Geek, this is a Fender Stratocaster. And I see. Okay, so I just played a Pearl Jam song. So it's funny, I came up in the 90s and the early 2000s, and I just got back. You guys know that I'm a university professor. I do two full-time jobs. I am absolutely overbooked right now, and it's a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. But it is also something where what I've found recently is that I have to make time for creative expression, and because there's more and more of it bubbling up. But I just came from the university, and I change real quick when I get home. It's like a Mr. Rogers thing. And so, yeah, so I try to, I don't know where I was going with that, but oh, I know where I was going with that. I love the fact that 90s rock and grunge is coming back, or at least it's becoming more, it's considered classic rock, which I'm not sure I like that, but I love that people are appreciating it once again. So I'm making more music now, and I'm breathing more. I'm doing more breath work now. And you might say, Jesse, how can you do more breath work? You're a breath worker. Yeah, I am. But everybody goes in ebbs and flows and things like that. And I've been practicing Vivation now, and I'm going to be making some videos about it. But this is my weekly. I did week because I was preparing for the retreat. So it's been 2 weeks since I got to see you guys. Papa Geek, not only did you identify this correctly, at the retreat, I did bring a jaw harp. Actually, I didn't. See, that's the problem. I forgot my jaw harp at home, and I had people at the retreat, and they're like, what's this mystery instrument that you were talking about? Because I teased it. If some of you guys were there when I was teasing, I'm going to bring this mystery instrument, and I didn't say what it was. Papa Geek guessed it, and it is. I did. Yeah, I brought it. I was going to bring a jaw harp. I forgot it at home. So I'm going to bring it. I have another retreat. My next retreat is I have my next retreat at Sand Valley in the same place in Wisconsin. And it is a Wim Hof Method weekend. It is a wellness weekend, lots of different styles, but focusing on Wim Hof Method. And you did nail it, my friend. You did nail it. It fits in my pocket. It was the clue, right? So I'm making sure to bring my jaw harp to that. James brought his kunga, and it was awesome. I mean, we were doing power breathing, and he was boom, boom, boom. It was this place is just perfect because, and the thing is, it was covered in snow. It was crazy cold, but it was sunny outside as well. So it was this beautiful, snowy, cold vista. And I got to say, the one thing that made it a little more dangerous, so we had to really make sure to do a lot of safety checks. And this is why I wrote my book, or my ebook, A Practical Guide to Breathwork, is because it was windy. So whenever it's super cold and it's windy, you can get in trouble real fast if you're doing cold training, and you won't even notice, and you'll feel like, oh, I feel fine. And the next thing you know, you have frostbite, chill beans. You might have even hypothermia or after drop or any of those. And so we made sure everybody had a great time. And but we did outdoor meditations. We did dancing. We did dancing outside in the snow. We did ice bathing in the lake. We did all kinds of great stuff. So it's just been it was an amazing thing. And it was the first kickoff retreat of the year. I've got a lot of retreats coming up. I'm also doing the Convergence with Rob Linfesti, and that's in July of this year. So that's quite a bit away. But if you came to the first Convergence, wait before you get your tickets, because you get a special coupon. Anytime you come to one of my events, a lot of times at least, I try to give you some kind of a little discount on coming back. And so I've got that in, I think it's in September or August. I'm going to be out in Oregon doing the Up Your Game conference, and we're going to do Wim Hof Method. There's going to be a full Wim Hof Method workshop. I'm also going to be teaching language of breath, which is my style of breath work. I'm gonna there's jujitsu guys, there's different people biohacking things. It's a cool summit. It's on my website, but all kinds of cool things going on. Actually, I've got something in Playa del Carmen coming up next year in May, or I think it's in May. So I've got all kinds of cool retreats. I've also got some workshops, especially I've got a lot of Wim Hof method workshops on the calendar. My next Wim Hof method workshops will be in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's on February 5th and 6th. On February 5th, it'll be a Wim Hof method fundamentals workshop. And then on February 6th, it's going to be an advanced Wim Hof method workshop. The advanced workshops are where we teach you things like the brown fat activation technique. We teach you power breathing. We do extra fun cold exposures and things like that. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. If you're in my Patreon club, the new sessions, one of the new sessions should be dropping in about 10 or 15 minutes. And if you're in the $10 or up tier, you should be getting your monthly breathing tip. That should be dropping in about 10 or 15 minutes. And then I'm going to owe you one of the sessions because I've got to finish that either tonight or I'm going to have to wait till Monday to finish it and to get that out to you guys. So yeah, so it's just been a crazy week. A lot of great things. I got to say this so far, the year's pretty awesome. I mean, I know we're only a couple weeks into it, but so far it's been really busy for Breathwork. And I am going to be announcing, and if you're on my email list, I'm sending you out some details about it, but I'll be announcing that I am going to be doing a Breathworker training program. So this will be the language of breath. So it's my style of being a Breathworker, but I am going to be teaching how to do group sessions of breath, how to put together breathing protocols like I do. So if you've done my Breathwork like some of those pre-recorded Breathworks on my YouTube channel, and of course, if you're in the Patreon club, you have a ton of the pre-recorded Breathwork sessions. I teach you how I put those together. And then I also teach you how to be a breathworker, how to look for breathing dysfunction, how to coach people and help them be healthier, how to do one-on-ones, how to do workshops where you're teaching maybe people who they need to learn how to relax, or athletes who need to learn how to use breath to have better performance, or, CEOs or whoever, right? The whole world is so much in need, and it's this crazy thing where the mental health, our mental health, because of COVID and all this stuff that's gone on with it, it's really suffering. And so we've got a lot of work to do as breath workers, as coaches, as things like that. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, go ahead and you can sign up just for my newsletter on my website. If you're already signed up, you'll get an email about it probably next week sometime. And it'll be a whole program. And then our graduation is in Colorado. So our master class will be a practical, physical graduation where you'll physically be trained to identify dysfunctions. You'll physically lead breath sessions. I want to make sure I'm sending people out there into the world feeling like they are 100% ready to take the bull by the horns, to really change the world, which we need to do. Because, guys, I mean, there's a lot of stress, anxiety, a lot of stress action out there. A lot of people behaving, there's enormous amount of fear action. There's enormous amount of just stress, anxiety. And when people are under fear and stress and all these things, we don't always behave the best way we could. And so we've got an enormous amount of work to do. People are suffering, and we can really go out and help. So that's coming up too. A lot more things. I'm going to take a quick read on some of these things here. Let's see here. Andrea says, "Hey, Jesse, I've seen some from Instagram stories that there is a new scientific study about Wim Hof method." Yeah. There was an early showing. Yeah. For the certified instructors. When will we see it published? Okay. So that's a great question. There was new scientific publication. It should be coming out Monday of next week. And let me say, as a person who I got to see the results, and we got to hear from the scientist that headed up the research. It's really exciting. So I can't really say much more than that because it's not published, and I had some little bit of sneak peek information, but it will be coming out this coming Monday, and you're going to see it all over the internet. So as soon as it comes out, as far as I understand, it should be Monday of next week that it comes out. So yeah, look forward to that. Let's see how to take cold showers in very hot climate country. Okay, so Tanmay, that's a great question. And even if you live in a moderate climate, like I live in the Midwest, it's going to snow tonight. But in the summertime, it gets really hot here. And so how do you take a cold shower when it's not cold, when the water that's coming out is not cold? And so there are some ways to do that. And I cover a little bit of this in the my ebook, A Practical Guide to Cold Training. But just I appreciate the question. And let me just kind of give you what I did, because in my first year, so I've been cold training now for years and years and years. But in my first year of cold training, I really didn't take a real life ice bath. I relied mostly on the cold showers. I took some cold baths, and I did my best to take an ice bath, but I just didn't have access or the room to really take an ice bath. So I really relied on, how can I make this cold shower as cold as it can be? So there's some things you can do, and it depends on what your shower is like. So if you have a shower that has a really sturdy shower head, if it's really, really, really sturdy. Now, don't do this don't break your shower is what I'm saying, okay? But if you have a really sturdy shower head, there have been some people, especially if it's high. I'm pretty tall, so it would never really work for me. But some people have had luck with poking holes in a bucket, filling it with ice, and then putting it where the shower head, maybe this is the shower head, and here's the bucket. The shower head was going to put the water through the ice, and it cools the water down, so you get ice water on you. And that's one way to do it. But the way that I always used to do it is I actually just accepted the fact, okay, for at least for a little bit of time, I'm not going to be able to do extreme cold. Now, that was because I knew that I was going to have cold seasons coming. And so eventually it would get cold. So what I would do, and Tanmay, I'm going to give you some more tips here in a minute. But what I would do is during the summertime, because I didn't have the option to take an ice bath, I would take a cold shower, as cold as it would go. And then I would have a bucket full of ice, and I would put 1 foot in that bucket of ice. And I would stay in with 1 foot in a bucket of freezing cold water for 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, I would switch feet. And then I would have my other foot in that bucket of ice water for the other 5 minutes. So I would take 10 minutes total of as cold of a shower as I could. And the reason why I made it 10 minutes was because if you really can't go very cold, maybe you can go a little longer. Okay. So for instance, if it's super, super cold, you shouldn't be in there so long. So I cover this in greater depth and detail in my ebook, and it's on my website, Practical Guide to Cold Training. But that's what I did. Now, what a lot of people do is, if you can take as cold as you can shower every day, so just never shower with the hot water, okay? So at least you're getting that. And then maybe once a week, maybe you and some friends can get together for an ice bath. There's been research that shows that after an ice bath, your anti-inflammatories, all the cytokine action, you have a huge reduction in all of the in inflammation markers, and then you also have a boost in white blood cells for 6 days after an ice bath. So that can be a weekly ritual, and then between ice baths, you could do cold showers. So really, you kind of have to get creative with it. You can't always do it the way you see people doing it on, in the Facebook groups or whatever. Sometimes you just have to get creative, and sometimes it's not going to be pretty. My shower with 1 foot in ice water and then the other foot in the ice water. And then after that, I would do my hands in the ice water. So I'd go in for 2 minutes, out for a minute, in for 2 minutes, out for a minute, in for 2 minutes, out for, and just basically I was working on that. And actually, even though you're not really getting incredible cold training by doing that, you are getting resilience training. And that's one of the biggest benefits of cold training, in my opinion, is the resilience that you get. So you're learning how to deal with discomfort. And in my opinion, that is probably one of the greatest benefits of cold training is learning how to deal with discomfort, being able to face discomfort and smile in the face of discomfort, right? And being able to do something that's difficult. I mean, the average person is going to look at cold training and say you're crazy, right? And I guarantee you there's people here that's what the relatives tell them. You're crazy, right? Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Anyway, but yeah, they'll say you're crazy. And people do this. It's a very human thing. It's a very human thing to say that something's crazy when you're afraid of it, right? Because if I say that it's crazy, if I announce that is crazy, I don't have to, I'm letting myself off the hook. I'm saying because it's crazy, I shouldn't have to push myself. I shouldn't do it. It would be bad to do it because it's crazy. Because I don't do crazy things. You shouldn't do crazy. But here's the thing. What you're doing is you're giving into fear. You're rationalizing your fear, right? If you say it's crazy. And so I tell you what, in my opinion, I don't know of anything crazier than that. What kind of a life, what kind of sanity is rationalizing fear? Right? And that's the world we live in most of our lives. We rationalize all of our fears and we say, well, I'm afraid of this. And I can figure out reasons why I'm justified to be afraid of something. That's, but saying, okay, there are two kinds of fears. One is rational fear. And that's okay. If I go jump off of a building, I should be afraid of that, right? That's a real present danger. But if I'm looking at a challenge like cold training, it's okay to be afraid of it, right? And so it's okay to have that fear. And I'll tell you this, I still, whenever I go to a really cold ice bath, or sometimes when I just go to a cold shower and I just don't feel like it, there's a certain degree of, I don't even know if it's fear or it's just like, I don't want to do it or, whatever it is. There's a certain degree of like discomfort with that decision. And it would be so much easier if I would just say, that's crazy. And then the cool thing is most people don't do it. So I could always say, those people are crazy. I'm going to go with the herd, right? I'm going to go with the herd and I'm going to feel comfortable because most people don't do it. And therefore, I'm not going to try. And you really rob yourself of so much. I think you can apply it. You could say that is an ice bath thing, but you can apply it to almost everything. I was talking earlier in this talk, in this broadcast, I was talking about singing and dancing and telling stories. When I was, I said, I'm a white guy from the Midwest. We don't dance, right? And so I was afraid of looking like an idiot in front of girls, right? In high school or middle school. So me and of course, most of the guys would just be sitting on the sidelines, hoping for a slow dance so we wouldn't look silly, right? Because we didn't want to do something that was risky. And there's no real damage that can happen when you dance. And actually the guys that went out to dance, they're the ones that got the dates, right? So I mean, really, and that's the thing. They weren't living in fear and they weren't justifying that fear. And as for me and many of the other guys who said, I'm going to give in to fear, we said, oh man, I just don't like to dance. I just don't like it. We said everything except for the truth, which was that we're afraid. And so, yeah, there's when it comes to fear, I think sometimes we get a bit too pedantic about it because I think sometimes we act like you shouldn't be afraid of anything. I think it's important to be afraid of some things. It's very healthy to be afraid of, I don't know, like a rabid dog, if some kind of like it's okay to be afraid of catching cancer so it makes you quit smoking, right? But whenever you're afraid of something that has positive benefits and it's just a little uncomfortable, that's when that rationalization comes in and we start making everything crazy. So anyway, Maybe that's a little longer than I should have uh, gone on and on. Also, by the way, Gregory, yes, you can ask you can ask questions here. If you're in the Patreon club, I'm doing a high level Q&A for Patreon club members, where I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with answers and things like that. On these Fridays, I don't prepare. I just I just show up. I'm always excited to talk to you guys because it's a chance for me to kind of just kind of hang out and be with this amazing, what I see as the most underreported movement in the entire world, which is a group of people who are willing to take responsibility for their emotions, for their physical, mental, spiritual bodies, and to move forward. And I love that. So I just always have fun. But if you're in my Patreon club, each month now we're doing for people who are in the higher level tiers, 20 and above, we're doing a Q&A, but that will be broadcast live. So everybody is able to watch. I'm only going to be answering my Patreon members' questions on those, but you can still watch if you catch the live. So that's coming up. But anyway, let's see if I have any questions here. So Gregory, let's see. Thank you. Yeah, you can ask questions. My battery's running low. I thought I plugged this thing in. Today I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties. If you were here earlier, let's see. There we go. Now we're plugged in. If you were here earlier, you got to witness me singing an entire song in my bliss, and the audio was off. So no one heard it. But I did get some people commenting that they liked the song. So I don't know if it's like maybe they were reading my lips, or maybe some people heard it. I don't know. Let's see what we got here. But that was a great question. Let's see. I live in a temperature climate. How do I arrange cold baths without spending a lot? Okay, so we're talking a little bit about cold baths. So this is Moose Baths. Good to see you here. And Yoga Bear, Michigan question. I do plan to come to Michigan. In fact, I had before the COVID shutdowns, I had Lansing, Michigan on my list. I need to get that back on my list. There's a scientist that helped me with my book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork. He works up there, and I wanted to do a workshop up there so that he can come witness the awesomeness and craziness that is breathwork. I'm thinking of doing Wim Hof method up there. I might do language of breath. I really haven't. Basically language of breath is my own kind of style of looking at all of breathwork. It's not like a technique. Okay. It's a style of looking at breathwork and teaching and learning breathwork. And it's what I teach in my online class, but I am looking to do some workshops with that. I'm rolling it out this year. But yeah, you can look for me coming up there. I'll be up there probably. It'll have to be later this year because I'm so booked. I'm really right now. I'm booked up solid until the summer, pretty much like June and July. I'm pretty much booked then too. So I'll hopefully be there too. And then I've also got to go back to Ohio too. So there's a lot of things I got to get on my list. So, and then Vince, ever plan to come to Europe? I do plan to go to Europe, but right now is kind of a weird time. And so I'm kind of just saying, I'm just going to stay in the United States for a little while. I am going down to Mexico in May. So yeah, it's actually on Mother's Day weekend. I'll be in Playa del Carmen. I have yet to put out tickets for that, but that will be coming out. It's a retreat. It's one of these amazing, like once in a lifetime style retreats. Like this place is all about so it'll be me doing Wim Hof method for 2 days. So we're super deep in that. And then it'll also be like the food's amazing. You get there's all these things are included in this, there's sound healing, there's yoga, there's they've got so many things going on. So I'll be telling you more about that. We're still working on all the details, so I'll be getting that to you guys soon. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Okay. Yeah, Tan May, definitely try that bucket thing if you can. You know what? Actually, there's there's a buddy of mine. He was on my last live. His name is David Whitley, and he and I we met actually when we trained under Wim Hof. He used to practice cold water dowsing. So, and this is actually whenever I train some groups, some military groups, because of the restrictions being what they were, I couldn't put people in an ice bath. So what I did is I got 5-gallon buckets, filled it with ice water, and I had people pour it over themselves very, very slowly. Like it's not just like a dunk, right? But or you have someone help you and you make kind of like the coldest shower ever. And it'll last you try to get it to last 30 seconds because the person's just slowly pouring over and you kind of rotate and you get wet. So anyway, there's a lot of different ways. You got to be a creative person for it. Darren Hilton, nice to have you here, buddy. Good having you here. Let's see. Can you answer my question? I always wash my hands with the cold water, yet my hands are cold within seconds when the outside is cold. Even gloves don't help. I mean, I'm very skinny. You're a skinny guy. So Vince is kind of skinny. So is there a level of thinness where not even cold training can really help you keep your hands and feet warm? Should I just try to build muscle mass? First of all, definitely build muscle mass. Muscle mass is I mean, obviously I'm not promoting like taking roids or anything, but definitely work out to build muscle. Muscle is usable weight that is good for you. And basically the stronger that you are, the stronger your bones are going to become. And there's a lot of great research about how all-cause mortality reduces when you have basically the stronger you are, the lower your all-cause mortality is. And this especially as you get older. So that's definitely good. I'd never, I get some clients, so guys, I'm a personal trainer. I'm a nutrition coach. Basically, when people have me coach them, we look at the person holistically, or sometimes they just want to do breath work. Sometimes they just want to do, Wim Hof method, or just they want to do this or that, right? So it depends, but I do coach people on a lot of different levels. And, there's some people that come to me and they feel like I'm too skinny. Okay, I'm too skinny. How do I put on weight, right, is the question. And it's like, no, that's not what we're trying to do. I'm not trying to make you weigh more, right? I'm not trying to, you should definitely try to gain more fat. Keeping a low body fat is a good thing. However, let's talk about you being skinny and let's talk about your hands and your feet. Okay. So again, I talk about how to train your hands and your feet in my book, A Practical Guide to Cold Training. So guys, that is a kind of a all-in-one, takes you from your first cold shower to walking in the snow barefoot to even swimming in the, I do an interview with Kath Pendleton, who was the first person to swim a mile in the Antarctic Circle. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the ebook, but just quickly here for your hands and your feet, those are less related to your body mass than anything else. So those reactions, first of all, your hands and your feet are always going to be your weak spots. They're my weak spots. Okay. My feet are bulletproof now, but they are still going. So when I say that, I mean, I walk around in the snow and I enjoy it. Okay. But there does come a level. Actually, last year I did that so much that I did actually have some skin tissue damage from the cold. And so I do have to watch it. And the thing is, you can train your hands and your feet, but there's a few different reasons why a person gets cold. The first one is a very physiological reason. The most basic reason is that when you're in the cold, your body's trying to protect your core body temperature, right? So your body is going to say, okay, let's shunt the blood from places where we don't necessarily need it. And even though you know that you're going to need those hands and feet later, your body's like, nah, we can lose those first. It's the strange thing. So that's actually why they hurt so bad, is you get this incredible vasoconstriction. So your blood vessels really constrict and it hurts. And so you have that on your skin, but it's not to the same degree that you have the nerve endings in your hands and feet. Just think about how sensitive your hands and feet are. A lot of people have lost a lot of their sensitivity in their feet because we shove our feet into shoes. I'm going to be talking about grounding and earthing and going barefoot because I've been a barefoot guy as long as I can remember. I've always felt that I've always felt like a human being should touch the ground, right? I mean, just that, right? Just that by itself. A human being should know what the ground feels like. And I'm talking about the actual planet. Now, I'm also, I'm the kind of guy who will wear as little clothing as necessary. Like, I don't walk around naked all the time, but I'm also the kind of guy that if I can get away with doing like with just wearing shorts and t-shirt, I'm going to. And so I walk barefoot a lot. We'll talk about that. I've got a video coming out. I'm working on a video for that. So with our hands and our feet, though, my hands are my weakest spot. And so it takes time, and it can be because I've got a video on cold hands and feet, because a lot of people have cold hands and feet just in room temperature too. And so some of it has to do with, it could be that you've got a breathing dysfunction. I know that sounds weird, but could actually be a breathing dysfunction. And I touch on it in the video, how to breathe differently to make that go away. But there are so many different kinds of breathing dysfunction you might have that I had to make a general video for mass consumption. If I were coaching you, I probably would, look a little deeper. So it could be breathing, it could be over breathing, and it can just simply be the fact that literally that's the first place it's going to get cold, even if you're wearing, shoes and even if you're wearing a, gloves. Now, when it comes to being too thin for cold training, it's interesting. Yes, the more tissue that you have that's going to protect your core, you will generally be able to stay in the cold longer. Okay. So the more and you got to understand, your body is trying to protect your organs. So the homeostatic state of your organs, that's what's keeping you alive. And when that dips down, and it doesn't have to dip down a lot, just the core body temperature, it dips down a couple degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, 2 or 3 degrees down to 4. Oh my God. Next thing you know, you're hypothermic. Okay. And it's amazing how well your body is actually adapted to keep it at this homeostasis. But you'll even notice, like, the fact that you feel cold when you walk outside is not because your core temperature is dropping. When your core temperature drops, it is a hell feeling. It is the worst. I'm telling you guys, as a person who has had it happen multiple times, when you have after drop, or I've actually had mild hypothermia, and I was awful. I shouldn't tell you guys this, but I was pushing myself way too hard in the cold. This was back whenever I thought maybe I could like break a world record. Because I was like, okay, let's get further along in this cold thing. And I was going, and I was spending about 20 minutes in an ice bath. And then I got to the point where I went into this super freeze. It was a super cold day. And I went into this it was a creek, but it was like a big creek, right? And it was moving water. And I only stayed in about 10 minutes. And I was like, man, I got to get out of this. And I waited too long. And almost immediately, as soon as I was drying myself off, I started getting the symptoms. And I was like, oh my God, oh no, oh no. But the problem was my pride got in the way, because my friend was there, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. And I had a hell of a day, man. I probably should have sought medical attention, because I was really, really close. And I learned my lesson that day, that it's very, very easy to have that happen. So that's why, again, that's another reason why I wrote the ebook, which I am planning on publishing as a paperback and an audiobook this year, my friends. That's another thing I got to get on. It's on my list. I got a lot of things on my list of things. We're going to do a lot this year, guys. Anyway, but are you too skinny to cold train? Yes, it is true that the more tissue that you have that surrounds your core, it will insulate your core, and it makes it so that you can generally fight off that cold a little bit more efficiently, meaning that you can generally fight off the cold a little bit longer. Now, having said that, doesn't mean, like, at the time, whenever I had this happen, I was much more muscular at the time. I've actually slimmed down quite a bit in the past 5 years. I used to weigh, dude, guys, I was up to like 230 pounds. And for my metric people, I don't know what that is, but it's a pretty heavy guy. I'm 6'1". I weighed at the time 230 pounds. Right now, I'm about 205 pounds, maybe 210 pounds. And so I had a lot of insulation, and I still had it happen. So my answer to you is that no, being too skinny is not causing your hands and feet to get too cold. That is because your hands and feet literally are like designed to feel that way early on. But it will be something that I would always recommend a person gaining muscle. I would also say that it's something just to be consciously aware of, but not to let it get you down. I've ice bathed with some skinny guys, and I've ice bathed with a lot of fat guys. And I will say that generally there's very little difference in how one guy can handle the cold more than another guy. The vast majority of it has more to do with it has to do with anything else. All right. Yeah, I will be doing a video on earthing. I'm working on it. Here's the thing about earthing, okay? And this is probably, in my videos, I try not to be too verbose, right? I try not to go on and on, even though I get comments like every time. He just goes on and on. I'm like, shut up, man. This is my video. I try not to go on and on. I try to, and I've got an editor now who helps me kind of condense. But I'll tell you guys that I've been earthing since I was a kid, before I even knew it was a thing. And so it's something that I'd like to research a little bit. I want to make sure it's a well-researched video rather than just saying, hey, it's awesome, it's the best, I do it, I like it. I want to give you the research behind it. And then I want to give you my personal experience with it, because it's been something that I didn't realize that I was doing it. And then eventually I heard about this earthing thing. I heard about this grounding thing, and I watched the documentary that I think everybody's watched. And then I started feeling like, well, I wonder if I've never lived a life where I shoved my feet in shoes very much. I've always been the kind of guy, I'd rather go barefoot. So I've never seen a huge change. But after I realized that was a thing, I was like, well, yeah, I can see that. And I absolutely feel like that's why I love living in the middle of nowhere. I don't live in a big city. I live in a small town, and there's a lot of nature, and I like that. The sushi sucks, but the sushi sucks in a small town. And there's a lot of limitations in a small town that you don't have in a bigger city. But one thing I have is the ability to walk around half naked anytime I want. Anyway, all right, here we go. There's some stuff I'm missing, and then I've got about 15 more minutes before I've got to go, guys. So I'm going to try to find a question. But hey, Vince, I appreciate that question. That was a good one, and I really do encourage you. Always, always feel. Building muscle is always a good idea. Unless you're having to take steroids to build muscle. Once you get to the point where, obviously don't skip cardio. Mobility means more than anything, but muscle is a good thing too. So all those things are good. So I live in Minnesota, says Jeffrey. I live in Minnesota and feel blessed for the cold that we get. Yeah, you guys get a lot of cold. I've been to Minneapolis before, and It is cold. It gets good and cold down there or up there. Can you talk about equating different kinds of cold exposures, walking, hanging out in the snow, etc.? So I go into great depth with this. Thank you for that question, Jeffrey. I go into great depth with that in my book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork, because what I do in that book is, and I'm not just trying to pitch the book, I'm just trying to say, I only have 15 minutes, right? And so, what I do in the book is I tell you the safety guidelines for each one of these different kinds of cold exposures, because I give you the rules. One of my biggest rules, the number one rule for all of cold training, is that cold training should be done in a controlled environment. The number one rule of cold training is that it should be done in a controlled environment. And what that means is that safety's got to come first. When I wrote that book, when I first wrote the first version of it, so it's on the second edition. If you got the second edition, whenever I publish the complete edition, you're going to get the updated version for free. So when I did that, there was this group of people that they decided they would try to emulate the whole walking up the mountain bare-chested in the snow thing. And they made every mistake in the book. And they were just really gung-ho. And and apparently, like, they had to get medevaced out on a helicopter. And they didn't do any of the safety precautions that a person should do. Okay. And so I was like, okay, man, we got to write something. So every different kind of cold exposure is going to be a little bit different, as far as the impact, as far as the safety, and as far as whether or not you should do it. And because where are you in your cold training, right? For some people, it's like, okay, I've just started cold showers. Well, if you're just starting in cold showers, then yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't do all these other things. There's some things you shouldn't do, but I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that you should really be even more cautious. Now, there are some people, the very first day when they first got into cold training, they went to a polar plunge, jumped into a frozen over lake, and that was their first day. Now, the thing is, at those polar plunges, they typically have lifeguards, they have paramedics, they have all these things. That's a great way, because it's as a controlled environment as you can get. But no 2 days on a lake are the same. There's wind that's going to change. The tides are different. There's the different temperatures, the water temperature and the air temperature. That differential will make a change. So the rule of thumb is to always make sure that you have a plan. Make sure you've got a plan, how you're going to get in, how you're going to get out. And, for all the details, read my ebook. And because I cover even the things you won't think about, like, where am I going to change clothes? Should I change clothes outside? Can I change clothes in my car? I go through all these different permutations of what you should bring, different items, different ways to measure the temperature of the water. So I've thought of a lot of these things just out because I've figured it out through trial and error. So check it out. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Hey, Pauly Digital, I appreciate it. Classic Jesse, this is great. All right. Rusty Gaming says, I own bees, and sadly, whoa, you own bees? That's really cool. I own bees, and sadly, every time I've done it, I've somehow stepped on one of my bees and got stung. Ouch. Well, if you're allergic to it, I hope you do some breath work afterwards. Yoga Bear told me about I used to weigh 104 kilograms, I guess. Actually, I got up to 240 pounds at one time. I was a hoss, as they say in the Midwest. So I guess 240 pounds is 109 kilograms. I mean, I was really bigger than was healthy. I wasn't on the roids or anything. Actually, I've had people accuse me of being on the roids, and I was like, well, thank you. But but yeah, I slimmed down, and I'm very happy that I did. And I'm always doing things that are going to try to help me keep or build muscle, because I do believe that for me, that's how I feel the best. Um, I want the usable weight, and of course, it's a great way to keep our metabolisms higher, so that you know we can maybe eat a little bit more of those cheat meals. And Brent, you have the ebook. Can't wait for the hard copy. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let's see here. Can I do Wim Hof method with water in my stomach only, like first thing in the morning after drinking some water? Yoga Bear, yes, you can. Let's see. Where are we going with this? I got a lot of comments here, and I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm just kind of skimming through here. North Dakota, weird entity. So, okay, you live in North Dakota. Okay, yeah. Very, very cold there. Very, very cold. Does anyone know the sound that Wim makes? I'm not sure where that's going. Hey, Jesse, what are your thoughts on weed and psychedelics? Astro Sheepy. Weed and psychedelics. I've done a lot of those things in my life, but they're not really a part of my life right now. I think that, I think, I think that weed and psychedelics. So I would say that we as a society here in the United States, and that the world tends to look at things in extremes, and that's how a lot of things are bastardized. And so the way like when I was younger, so whenever I was a teenager and I was doing all that stuff, I did a lot of psychedelics, and I smoked a lot of weed. What's that song? I smoke a lot of grass, right? Um, but back then it was demonized. It was absolutely demonized, and there was a kind of a subculture that was all about it, but it was just super demonized. And then now I feel like it's lauded. I feel like it's like people almost act like, if you smoke weed, it'll cure everything, or if you have a problem, you just need to take psychedelics, or I think both of those are kind of extremes that I'm not in those extremes. For me, I don't have any problem with it, but and I'm not saying that I will never do it. I think that it's got to be, I think, used with respect, and not just just to numb the the existence of the world. And I think all too often people start with especially marijuana, right? So that's at least how I mean, and don't get me wrong, like I got nothing against it, but I think a lot of times people start maybe looking for maybe some kind of I don't know, insight into their lives, or maybe they start in a way that is very laudable or honorable, and that I would consider an appropriate use. And I think sometimes people just get into it so much because it feels good, and it turns into an escape. And so I think, as with everything, moderation is important, and that um, it's also important to look at things for what they are, and to be honest with ourselves. Am I doing this, for what reason, right? Am I doing this because I am trying to run away from a feeling, or I'm trying to numb something, or, as a lot of people say, I'm trying to take the edge off? I think that would be probably just, I don't really get into that. Or am I doing something to try to challenge myself, to try to improve myself? And I've done microdosing before, and I know a lot of people who do that. That's where you're not even really getting high, or like having an experience. That's just like kind of a cognitive, like a biohack. So I think there's ways to do it that are respectful for your body and mind, that are not detrimental to your health, and that are reasonable. But I think also there's a lot of people that get so into it. And it's a lot like how I was talking earlier, how people, if you don't want to do something, you say it's crazy, right? And that's rationalizing your behavior. I think a lot of people will rationalize the fact that they just want to get high all the time. I know I used to, right? A lot of people just rationalize it, and they're saying, well, it's good for this, it's good for that, it's healthy for this reason. And the reality is they're just rationalizing the fact they want to get high all the time. And in reality, they may be running away from their emotions that they really should be facing head on. So it all comes down to being honest, right? And that's for me when it comes to language of breath, which is the style I'm all about. And when it comes to any time I'm coaching someone, whether they're my personal client at a workshop, wherever, self-honesty is the most important thing. That is ultimately, if you can be honest with yourself. A lot of us lie to ourselves and we don't even realize we're lying to ourselves. That's how messed up we are. And that's how messed up we can get. But if we can be honest with ourselves, then we can say, okay, I'm doing this for this reason and I'm okay with that. Or I'm doing this for this reason and you know what? I shouldn't be. I'm going to need to make the hard decisions to step away from that. And that can be weed, psychedelics, that can be caffeine, that can be diet Coke. I mean, it can be anything, right? So that's kind of where I am on that. So a lot of my friends are very much into those things, or they use them, what I might consider like more of a medicinal way or things like that. And I'm not against it. I'm not like pro, I'm not against. I'm just saying, be honest with yourself, and that's really the foundation. Let's see here. Let's see. Andrea, thank you for that. I'm not familiar with Maurice, but I'm copying that right now, and I will research that. That's really cool. It is now in my search bar for later. Uh, Linus, you're going to Poland to study under Wim. Yeah, I think that's what you're saying. You're gonna become a Wim Hof method instructor. Is that what it is? Any tips? The tip that I would give you is to just be yourself. Be yourself and stay you. You don't have to be anything that you don't want to be, and you should be yourself. That is the biggest, the best tip I can give anybody training for anything. Be who you are. You are not just someone wearing someone else's shirt. You're not just someone who is practicing or training under some other master. Be you. And you're also going to have a great time, and I'm jealous. So enjoy. Let's see. Breathwork, actually, Papa Geek is saying the closest thing I've done recently to drugs was altered state breathwork. Last time I felt like that was about 10 years ago. Breathwork is how I get all the highs I need. It is free, it's legal, and it is good for you. So, and you can take it wherever you want to. So I honestly, that's primarily my drug of choice, if you will. Tim Lloyd just asked a question. Have you ever read the 4 Agreements? I have not. My wife read it a long time ago, and she said I needed to read it. And of course I didn't. And then actually this past weekend, I had 2 different people ask me about that. So I've got to read it. Thank you for that suggestion. It's the universe is telling me I got to read that. So let's see. And I'll take maybe one more question and then we'll get out of here. But I want to thank everybody for being here. And let's see. So Stefano says, are you still doing the breathing technique? I'm assuming, are you meaning Wim Hof method breathing, the breath work with the push-ups? I haven't done that in a while. I haven't done that in a long time. So And is it better to do it with an inhale or an exhale? It depends on what you're looking for. So try both, see what works best for you. That would be the best advice I could give you there. Guys, let's see. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Rusty. Please hit the like button. Guys, I want to thank everybody for being here. And, simply hitting the like button or sharing my videos or just watching them all the way to conclusion helps this channel a lot. So comment, like, subscribe, all those things. I really do appreciate it. I'll be back here, I think next week. Next week I'll be back here about the same time. And we'll do this again. If you're in my Patreon club, you should be getting the new guided breathwork sessions today. And then I'm going to owe you. That'll come out on Monday, and I'll be making an announcement in the Patreon club. If you haven't joined the Breath Club, it is super cheap, and or you can choose what level you want to join. There's more perks as you go up, but it's only $5 a month for the main subscription. And we have a really awesome group. And actually, each month we get together for group breathwork sessions. So we do a lot of different styles. So I really do appreciate you guys being here, and I want to invite you to enjoy the Patreon club. If you've seen my pre-recorded breathwork sessions, that's a kind of a little bit of a taste of what we do, and a lot of good stuff. So guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend, and be sure to breathe. Enjoy the cold if you have the cold out there. I didn't get to talk about Vivation today, but I'll be talking about that a lot soon. Definitely sign up for the Language of Breath course that's coming out. If you want more information on the Language of Breath course, it's an online course that I'll be leading starting in February. It's 2 hours a week with me live, and we go deep within all breath work. So what is the foundation of all breath work? It's basically my style of teaching breath work and learning breath work. So that is coming up. Starts February 3rd. If you need more information on that, take a look at the links below. I'm going to put them down there. And of course, you can always email me or get a hold of me on Instagram. Guys, thanks so much. Please like, subscribe, and don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another. Have a great weekend.